I would roll my family in this game every day.
It looks like Rocket League with machine guns without the soccer ball, basically.
What, you don't like the Jet Insta-Lock only Judge? Judge or Rock? They run Judge until they can afford it up.
You know, aiming on joysticks is dog shit.
I'm not a fan of this.
Let's not call the cages smokes, right?
Little gamble TP. You know, a little gamble TP never hurt anybody.
My aim was just utter dog shit.
Shot 9 feet up in the air, you land on the ground. You can't hear anything because your ears are just ringing and your gun's on single fire.
If they start shooting my wall, I just spam slows at them and scream, help!
When I get breach ulted, I alt F4 instantly and I go to bed.
Well, I guess I'm fucking homeless now.
Hello and welcome to episode 4 of the Gamble Stack podcast. If you haven't heard of us or don't know what we're all about here, we are a podcast that covers virtually all things Valorant. My name is Sigg, and today I'm joined, as always, by Boopsy as we discuss some recent matches in the pro scene and a few game mechanics in Valorant itself. But before we get into any of that, how the fuck are you doing today, Boopsy?
So fucking ideal right now, man.
So fucking ideal.
I'm feeling phenomenal. I just got out of class, right? Not great, but I had the big venti, I think it's called, fuck Starbucks, called a large, change it. A big fucking iced coffee this morning. Not even an iced coffee. You know what I get? I'm a white girl, right? So what I get at Starbucks is a pistachio latte with cold foam on the top. Now, if you don't know what cold foam is, change it.
I don't.
I
don't even.
Dude, it's
I don't
like
know shit about Starbucks.
It's like a fucking frothy cream that floats atop of my pistachio latte. So every time I take a sip of that shit, it gets all up in my beard and it's sticky and sweet and it's, oh, fuck me, dude. Is it delicious? But I'm doing great. I'm all caffeinated up and I'm ready to fucking get into this episode. The final episode, by the way, before the new act drops, which is fun and exciting, of course.
Massive.
How are you doing, buddy?
I'm doing solid. You said the Starbucks sizes are weird. Isn't like a tall, like a small or some shit?
Yeah. And then grande, right, is like a medium.
Okay.
Change it.
Why?
Simply change it. I don't fuck. If my girlfriend has to be the one to order for us because I will scream at the barista they make $11.75 an hour and I will scream at them because change it. So change it. Anyways, we got some things to go over today, huh?
Yeah.
I'm glancing over at these thorough notes, and it looks like we're getting into some pro play, which is fun and exciting, of course. Over the weekend, is this correct? This was this weekend?
Yeah, this is just like the past 2 days.
I have an old man brain, so over the weekend, we had part 2 of Valorant Champions Tour, which is VCT, more commonly known as, of NA. This is Challengers 2 of VCT. Cloud9 Blue went on an absolute fucking tear, man. Didn't drop a single fucking map.
Shocked me, dude. Not gonna lie.
Didn't drop a single fucking map. I watched them versus NRG. That was the only match of theirs that I caught this weekend. But it was a good match. They I caught most of the Haven map rather. And there was a lot of A takes and then some, you know, you take into A, you get an early pick, you bait the rotate out to C, you go back and you take A once the other team over rotates. There was a lot of back and forth with that. It was a relatively close game. Fun to watch. They are now advancing to the grand finals, of this event, which is fun and exciting, of course, for them. That'll be a interesting team to watch as things move forward here.
Yeah, they advanced to the grand finals that happened yesterday, and they actually ran into Sentinels, unfortunately enough for them. Ten's got to play against his old team, though. The roster's like completely different. I think Mitch is the only one that's still there from when Ten's played because they just released Relics, I think, like last week. I heard about this.
Okay.
They got fucking bodied in the grand final.
Oh yeah.
Sentinels ran a train on these kids 3-0. It was like a fucking, I watched it live. It was like a 45-minute match for all 3 maps.
3 maps,
yeah,
45
maps.
That's
45 minutes.
That's like a 0-5 surrender in our unrated lobbies. We could do 3 of those in less than, or it probably would take longer than 45 minutes with queue times and shit. That's wild, actually. So that was versus Cloud9, correct?
Yeah.
Okay, that was 10's old team. That's just fucking nonsense, man. Just absolute nonsense. So in that match, Cloud9 decided, right?
Emmanuel's gonna love this.
In
Dude.
their infinite fucking wisdom, pro team, by the way, esports ready, of course, that they decided that Yoru was a viable operator, agent, change it, to run in map 1 of the grand fucking finals. Go ahead and enlighten us. What was the round count at the end of that match?
13-4.
Yeah. So Yoru.
They were basically trying to bait out a lot of Shower's presence with the Yoru when they were attacking, at least. Like, this was on Bind, by the way. They were trying to bait out a lot of. They would put his TP like in market basically towards B, and then like they'd have their Sentinel baiting A short, and then like 3 people just sitting in like hookah, kind of, and then they would have this Yoru baiting in Showers, just making noise and shit, and then TP over to B. But it didn't work at all. I'm pretty sure they lost that first half like fucking 10-2, I think, on their attacks.
Jesus, man. Yeah.
Sentinels look like a tough fucking team to beat, man. They look unbeatable unless you're BBG.
Yeah.
Was it that upset
I was
them?
gonna say, go ahead and tell that to BBG, and they're just gonna laugh in your face.
I mean, when they get to the grand finals, since 10's got there, I don't think they've dropped a map though, because I'm pretty sure they 3-0'd the first time they were there too.
Yeah. Yeah, they've been on a fucking tear. Now, speaking of this past weekend, the VCT2 NA Challengers, change that, by the way.
Bizarre title. Make it
change it.
more complicated. Please.
Change it, right? I was excited for some of these matches because my 2 favorite casters, Kickstar and Intero, which some of you may be familiar with, they were getting roasted during these games, by the way, by Twitch chat, which is understandable because of it's their first fucking outing as a duo casting Valorant, whatever, it doesn't matter. But they came over, they were and I believe still are Rainbow Six Siege casters, which is the game's relatively similar. It's 5v5 hero based, agent operator based shooter, tactical shooter, whatever.
Search and destroy, all that.
Yeah,
yada yada.
Plant the fucking bomb, kill the people. You get the vibes. So it's a similar enough game, but I think the main thing that was holding them back is in Siege, they have a very strict and defined meta in Siege where basically it's 3-minute rounds, and for the first minute we'll call it first 2 minutes of the round, not a single fucking thing happens. So they just kind of
giving up map control. And there's not a lot of gunfights in the first 2 minutes. It's like maybe a pick on one team, but it's rare. The rounds are also 3 minutes in Siege.
Yeah, so
100 seconds in Valorant.
Those 2 are used to this dynamic where they kind of just bullshit for like 2 minutes, and they're really good at it, bullshitting with each other and making that interesting. They make something out of nothing to talk about, which is why I like them so much. It makes Siege a lot more fun to watch when you have good casters, because the gameplay can be slow a lot of the time. But then they have these explosive takes in Siege, and they match that energy as the takes happen. And I think where they were struggling with the Valorant casting, while they were being very accurate with like the shot calling and stuff of what was happening, they caught all of it, but they had a hard time like pacing their energy throughout the rounds, I found. And the color commentary versus the actual like shoutcasting is it's balanced differently in Valorant as opposed to Siege as well. So I think as time moves on, I think they could be a really good casting duo for Valorant if they stick with it. And I'd be really excited to see how that develops over time, because again, I think they are pound for pound very talented casters.
Pound for pound.
Well, Kickstar is 96 pounds soaking wet, right?
Kickstar, yeah.
He's a little boy, but he's just he looks like Legolas, but yeah, he's a little boy. But I think as they get accustomed to casting Valorant's pacing, that they could be a really fucking good duo to listen to while they cast. So don't write them off yet. It was their first fucking time, and I think they did pretty well. Although they're new here. Let's be nice, right?
Yeah, I think they did all right. I think they needed to let loose a little bit because my man Tex, I think plays for NRG, was hitting the
sheriff.
best sheriff
Yeah.
shots I've ever seen in my life. And Kicks and Intero were just like mumbling about it. Like it wasn't a phenomenon that this dude was hitting 3Ks with the sheriff.
I think the main thing that was like kind of throwing them off is that they're used to casting Siege, right? Which I would say probably about
nobody misses in Siege.
Yeah, nobody misses in Siege, and it's all fucking headshots at pro play. So they're just used to seeing people snap on heads, and it's kind of just like another day in the life for them. But obviously the gunplay is a lot different in this game, and I don't think either of them really realize how crazy it is that this man's fucking sitting down pro players with a sheriff like 3Ks.
Yeah, I don't think they understood the gratitude, or what's the word?
The magnitude.
Yes, of what's happening there. Yeah.
That's a little earthquake reference for those of you who don't know. Read a fucking book, by the way. But yeah, overall I think they will develop into a good casting duo for Valorant if they stick with it, because they'll
get better.
They're phenomenal in Siege. Like if you've never watched a pro match of Siege, go watch one that Kicks and Intero cast. I guarantee you'll have a good time, even if you don't know what the fuck's going on, which you won't if you've never.
Everything.
Yeah,
they explain fucking everything.
And they have so many like. They've been casting together so long that they just like bounce off of each other really well, kind of like we do on this program, right? Because we're the fucking best. Anyway, I think that's it. That's all we have to wrap up for VCT NA Challengers 2. Change it, by the way, from this past weekend. So we're gonna move on to the main topic of today's broadcast, the program, of course. Gamble Stack Podcast, Spotify, Apple Music, the whole nine fucking yards.
Anchor.fm even.
Anchor.fm, YouTube even, right? YouTube, Twitch, yes, everywhere. You live under a rock. If you aren't watching us, change it. What's the main topic for today, Sig?
So, we'll just cut right into it.
Yeah,
agent-specific keybinds. Why the fuck are these not in my game yet? They seem like they would be so simple to add. Like, I don't even know. There couldn't be any bugs, I wouldn't even think, adding these. The game's been out for almost a year, and I feel like people have been complaining that they want agent-specific keybinds since like beta almost, and they just haven't fucking dropped them yet, and I don't know why that is.
So when you say agent-specific keybinds, I'm thinking the first example that comes to mind is Jet, because we all know you use E to dash, right?
And that's what it's defaulted to. Yeah.
If you've ever tried to hit E and dash right at the same time, you'll know that that's a bit fucking creefed, right? You have to break your finger in half and hit two buttons at the same time with it.
Your pointer finger would have to hit E and D at the same time to dash to the right. If you don't change the bind of it.
And if you change the bind of your E ability for Jet, it changes your E ability's keybind for every character. So that's the problem that we are presenting here today on the broadcast. And Sig wants it changed. Now, I don't give a fuck, to be completely honest with you. I'm going to just come right out and say, I don't fucking care, but I'm willing to hear Sig out because he is better at this game than I am. The main reason I don't care is because A, I don't play Jet, so I don't have that specific problem. The other thing is I am old and slow. I'm an old man, right? I'm balding. So the less keys I have to remember to press, the better off I am. But I can see, as you know, you get a lot of hours in this game and you're a cracked out 13-year-old on G Fuel and Adderall, of course, in game. You can keep track of all this shit, and you'd probably benefit from having agent specific keybinds. The one that comes to my mind that I would like to use is Raze's grenade. I'm very used to hitting G to throw grenades because that's always what I bind my key to. I reach over with my huge Neanderthal-sized hand, and I click G with my pointer finger, and I yeet a grenade. And having to do it with E just isn't very intuitive for me. So every time I play Raze and Sig's like, yo, deny that plant, I'm 2.5 seconds late because I've been clicking G trying to throw the fucking thing. So that's like the one situation in which I would actually change the keybind for one operator. Agent, change it, doesn't matter. But I could see there being benefit for a lot of people having agent specific keybinds. Is there any other agents you would see yourself changing the keybind for?
if you played a lot of Siege and when you first start playing Cypher, I could see whatever your cam button was on Siege. I could see you wanting to hit that over E as well, like you
4 or
said about
5
the
or
grenades.
whatever. Yeah. Mine was always on 5.
Just being able to like switch things around for more ease of access, because there's a lot of things like the jet smokes, the Phoenix wall that you can curve with your mouse, and sometimes you have to be able to be holding WASD. I don't know, man. It's griefed. It's completely griefed.
Yeah. Yeah, I could definitely agree. And I mean, you could, because you play the same agent for an entire match, you could make the argument that you have like, what, a minute for the buy phase before the game starts. You could go in there and change it for whatever agent you're doing every match. But that's kind of
That's
a
what
fucking.
I've heard a lot of people.
A lot of people
recommend,
do that.
yeah.
It's a pain in the ass, though, obviously. You got to remember to do it, and then you have to redo it the next game if you're playing a different fucking agent or whatever. So that is something that, like you said, I don't see there being an issue with adding this. Where this is a PC only game, right? So you don't have to worry about having too many keybinds for a fucking controller.
No,
you shouldn't ever. If you plug a controller in and your collarbone isn't broken, you're a dumb shit, right? Again, Fresco, if your collarbone is broken, right, do whatever you want. You're handicapped, for lack of a better term.
At that point.
Run a judge, right? If you have a broken collarbone, I won't even scream at you. But other than that, I think they should open it up and let anyone, put any ability on whatever button they want, because I don't see the harm it could do. Now, the one thing that kind of, I know you've mentioned in the past that some pro players bind their dismiss when they're playing Reyna to mouse 1.
Yeah.
I don't know how I feel about overlapping keybinds like that, because there's a lot of cheese shit you could accomplish by doing so. But you could say the same thing about binding jump to scroll wheel to make bunny hopping easier. Like, that's kind of like a cheese mechanic.
I've never really understood that, how that makes it easier to begin with, but I can bunny hop fine on spacebar. I've never had jump. I know Shroud said he has jump on every game ever on scroll wheel.
Yeah, you make it scroll wheel down, and the thought process is, for most games at least, you're not ever shooting while you're jumping, right? Unless you're playing Call of Duty, I guess.
Or like Halo, that'd be like
sure. But games like this with Counter-Strike movement, you're never gonna be you should never be shooting while bunny hopping, right? So you can take your finger off of mouse 1 and hit the scroll wheel down, and then you don't have to worry about timing. So the main benefit, right, is that your scroll wheel, every time you scroll down, it's like 6 inputs. So you don't have to perfectly time the spacebar click with when your feet hit the ground.
Scrolling down.
Yeah, and like if you have one of those mice that has that infinite scroll shit where you can like click the thing and it unlocks the scroll wheel and you fucking just scroll and it just fucking 6,000 RPM scrolls on your mouse. Which I used to have. I think it was a Logitech, some dumb shit mouse. Heavy as fuck. It was the biggest thing I've ever seen. But that had the infinite scroll wheel thing, and I used to do that in PUBG when I was getting shot at. I would just sprint and then fucking rip my scroll wheel down, and I would just start fucking bunny hopping, bob and weave. The movement was cracked.
PUBG's fucking underrated.
Yeah, yeah, because it's so hard to hit people who are bunny hopping with those fucking gun mechanics. So but again, I think it's kind of cheese though. Like, I do it, right? But I think it's a little cheesy to be able to do things like that. Now, if it's all PC, everyone has the opportunity to do that because it's not crossplay. So it's not really an advantage. But it is like a cheese thing that like normally you would have to actually time the bunny hop and be mechanically quick enough and have good enough timing to actually press the button to bunny hop. Whereas with the scroll wheel, like I said, you doing every time you scroll down, it's like 7 inputs. So as long as you scroll within a half second of hitting the ground, you're bunny hopping. Which is where the advantage comes from on the scroll wheel bunny hop thing. But I think like the double binding keys is a similar issue where like I don't know what else you would even do it with besides Reyna's dismiss, but like just binding it.
I can't think of one that's like similar to that at all.
Binding it to mouse 1 is just kind of cheese, because like you just, as soon as you get a pick, you're just invulnerable immediately without even having to like make the decision in that split second to like hit E, or without having to take your finger off of another keybind to hit your
Yeah.
dismiss button, you know, which again, if it's PC only, everyone has the ability to do that, but not everyone's playing Reyna. So that's like a little advantage that Reyna players can give themselves that no one else can attain. Kind of cheese. Again, I don't think it's a deal breaker at the end of the world, but it's, I think if you have the ability to do that, you should have the ability to put whatever fucking, make Raze's grenade the only E ability in the game that's not bound to E. That
It's
doesn't.
just like they shouldn't have Jet's dash on the E slot to fucking begin with, because that is not even similar to like a Raze nade or a Phoenix Molly, which most people would either put on G if they had the preference because it's nades, or like mouse 5 because you're throwing shit. But having a dash off of that just doesn't make any fucking sense to hit D with, especially if you're fucking like newer to PC. A lot of people can't even mentally like dash while holding any direction besides W for the
Yeah.
longest fucking time.
And you can make the same argument with Raze's Blast Pack too, which is I think defaulted to Q. Like you should probably rebind that to a mouse button, right? Because then you can still get your air strafes in without having to fucking take your finger off of A or W or whatever to press Q, to double tap Q mid-air with a fucking alt in your hands like an absolute rat.
I just think they need to, if not put in the keybinds, they need to switch Jets around to where her dash, they need to have her throwable on E, because that's basically like everybody else is throwable besides like Cypher cages
Sage.
that I can think of. Sage slows, yeah.
Yeah,
I
Sage's
guess.
slows aren't on her E. But yeah, I mean, I understand what you're saying. They could have made the individual agents' keybinds make more sense for what the abilities actually are. But the way they do it isn't by like, this is a throwable, this is a pre-placed, this is a smoke. The way they do it is your agent's signature ability is always on E. So her signature ability is the dash, similar to how Sage's is a heal. So that's the one that goes on E. So they don't break it up by like ability type.
They don't break it up. I know. That's why I feel like if they did, that would be a lot more viable to just say everybody's signature ability is E, their second is Q, and then their third one's on like C, I think, defaulted, but I crouch with C, so I put it on my mouse.
All right, unbound crouch, right? Because I'm a rat.
You're still not bound?
Yeah. Yeah, it hasn't been bound in 2 weeks. Yeah, it's never going back.
Holy shit.
I still hit my fucking, so I crouched with my side mouse button, the back button on my mouse, and every time I get in a gunfight, I know I still click it. Every fucking time. It's just a habit, dude. It's only in this game in Siege though. Like I was playing Call of Duty, cue the laugh track the other day, with a couple of my friends, and I don't hit C to shoot in Call of Duty, but that's because in that game there's no recoil, so I'm not trying to crouch to compensate for my recoil climbing like I would in this game.
An hour and a half through a gunfight in COD,
well,
so you're not worried about changing your head height at all.
Not with the way they've been balancing weapons lately, which we don't need. I mean, we could get into it if you want. I mean, this is obviously a Valorant podcast. We're not going to get into it, right? But the Activision, whoever, Bobby Kotick should be fired, and his children should have his children should be unhomed. They should be put out in an orphanage because he's not fit to run a video game, and he's not fit to raise children, clearly, because he's mentally unhinged if he thinks that he's balancing weapons correctly. Maybe you know what, this is now a Call of Duty podcast. Welcome.
Yeah, we're just switching it over.
Yeah, that is of course fake news. We're not doing that. We never will. But yeah, so I don't know. It's just there's something broken in my mind when it comes to games that have recoil that I just need to crouch. So it's not getting rebound. It never will. I'm never crouching.
If you get used to PUBG's game mechanics, to what you said about crouching instantly, like your recoil reduces like 30 or 35% as soon as you're crouched. Yes. So like that's another game that will just drill that in your brain to crouch. And
that's another game I've put a decent amount of hours into as well. Yep. So that's, any game with recoil, I fucking crouch. I just do.
I mean, it makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. But it in Valorant, it fucks you because if you crouch, your feet have been super glued to the floor. Ankles. Yeah, they are
ankles.
There's 9.5-inch screws going through the top of your foot into the floor beneath you, and now you live there now. Congratulations. Take out a start paying property taxes on that bit of fucking real estate on the map because you live there now, right? So I've unbound crouch. It's not been rebound, and it has killed me many times. There's one specific instance. So Haven, we take from C long. I wall off CT, we get a plant down, and then I, as Sage, go jump up on the generator or whatever the fuck that platform is in the back of site, and I start peeking C long. Or CT, rather, not C long. I start peeking CT. Now, when I get peeked, I miss my first 7 shots, of course. And then what I would normally do if I had a crouch keybind is I would crouch so they can't headshot me over the wall. But because I'm unable to crouch, because I lack mental discipline and I'm an old fuck who can't play the video game properly, I can't crouch. So now I'm just dead, right? And that's the only real issue. It's like that and then trying to hide in fucking hell on split. Those are like the only 2 things that fuck me over.
It would fuck with me a lot if I didn't have my crouch bound.
Now what I could do is I could bind crouch to a button that I'm not used to crouching on, and I could make it toggle instead of hold. And then if I ever needed to crouch,
or you could make it hold.
No, because it was hold on my mouse button already. It was always hold. Okay. My crouch is always hold because I'm not a rat and I don't crouch the entire fucking game. I only crouch in gunfights because I'm dumb. But I could make it like something stupid like B or something that isn't easy for me to press, but I could press if I needed to. But I would never think to take my finger or my thumb off of spacebar to hit B unless I like needed to crouch for a legitimate reason. So I could do that. I might experiment with that. So I still have the ability to crouch.
What's wrong with C, man? You don't like C?
C is where my fucking ability is.
Oh, okay.
And in every game I've ever played on PC, I've bound crouch because so I haven't played on PC for very long. I've been on PC for less than 3 years. So the less shit I had to do on my actual keyboard, the better. So I've always had my melee on games that have like an independent melee button. And like this game, obviously I don't have melee bound because you just switch to your knife. But on games like in Siege, like my knife in Siege was bound to the top mouse button, the forward one on the side. And then my crouch was always bound to the one below it, the back button. And I would just work those with my thumb on my mouse hand. Because it's easier for me to keep my fingers on WASD even if I have to crouch. And my thumb is useless. It doesn't work. I don't have thumbs.
You don't have thumbs?
For the sake of this argument, my thumbs don't exist when it comes to my keyboard. It lives on the space bar. Occasionally it can reach over and press Alt. That's about it.
What if I told you that my thumb could hit anything from Z to U?
I have the physical capability of moving my thumb in those directions. Well, I don't have the mental, I do not have the mental acuity to move my thumb and do that. Physically, I could make that happen. Mentally, there's no fucking chance.
Very similar to what you just said about, like trying to limit how much shit you have on your keyboard. I did the same thing when I first started on PC. I had my crouch and my melee on my side mouse buttons. But once I got like way more comfortable with the keyboard and I started like hooking my thumb like under my hand as opposed to just like sitting way to the right on the space bar, just like in an empty spot, that's when I started to switch things back over to C for like crouch and then V for melee in most games.
So
shit like that.
Another problem I have with my left hand in particular is that I played guitar from the time I was a 4-year-old boy up until the present time. So I have arthritis. I have the arthritic deficiencies of a 93-year-old person who has worked in a stone mill his entire life. My hand didn't grow properly. My fingers are all crooked and they hurt all the time. That's the same reason I play on a low sense, because my right hand is just as griefed. But it's not my fingers on my right hand, it's my wrist from strumming the guitar. So I have to play on a low sense because I can't move my wrist. I have virtually no movement in my wrist. Virtually none. So I play on a big ass mouse pad and I move my entire arm to do a 90-degree turn. I just have to play that way because it's physically painful for me to move my wrist. So it's like, it's a lot of issues from literally playing guitar from like, I started playing so young that like my hands grew in such a way to compensate for the shit I was doing with them and it griefed my biology is griefed. I've griefed myself biologically from playing
I'm
guitar
pretty
so
sure
long.
me and you had a conversation like 2 weeks ago where I was talking that like my sense is low, and then you told me we compared senses
Mine
and
is
yours
less
is
than
literally like
half.
half.
Mine
Yeah,
is
like
less than
less than
half of
half.
yours. Yeah.
And like I can't do a 360 on my mouse pad.
No. I can do a 180. If I go from one end of my mouse pad to the other, it's a 180.
I can do like a 220-degree turn maxing out.
But my mouse pad's also
Mouse
bigger
pad.
than yours.
I mean, mine's fucking 3 feet. I just have my keyboard on like the left foot of it, basically.
Yeah.
So it's essentially 2 feet.
I would say
Yours is your entire fucking desk.
mine is my
Yours probably
entire
like 4 or 5.
So my desk is 3.5 feet wide. And
Okay.
my mouse pad covers all but about 3 inches on either side. And then my keyboard is it's a 10 keyless.
Mouse pads are similar sizes then, yeah.
Yeah. But I have a 10 keyless keyboard that is damn near falling off the left edge of my desk. But I play with my keyboard horizontal. You play with yours almost vertical, right?
Yeah, mine's so like if this makes any sense, the bottom right of my keyboard and the top left corner is a straight vertical line. Like those two
Yeah.
make a vertical line.
So it's a little more aggressive than like a 45-degree angle.
Yeah,
It's probably
it's
like 65
it's
degrees.
like an 80.
Okay.
I'd call it like an 80.
Not quite 90. It's not quite vertical, but almost.
Damn near it.
I
yeah.
used to play like that on Siege. Or I used to play like that on Fortnite, actually. When I played Fortnite, I played with my keyboard like that. Because I had to be able to, I needed more mouse room so I could build. Because I needed to be able to do a full 360 in Fortnite. But I don't ever find myself, I never have to turn more than like 180 degrees in one swipe in the games I play, generally speaking. Like, I guess if a raise boom,
very fucking rare.
if a raise or a jet gets in my grill, then yes, sometimes you have to do more than a 180 to take that fight. But I'll usually just spin the other way quickly and catch up with them.
Yeah, to recompensate for it.
Yeah. So I've learned to play on this low sense. I play on this even in like Call of Duty, like, which I don't play often, but I do play sometimes, casually, of course, because it's not a competitive game. And if you think it is, change it. I play on a super low sense, and people are always amazed in Call of Duty that I can hit like the fine-tuned sniper shots from long range where I can just click a pixel. It's because my sense is so fucking low that it's just so easy to dial in those long range shots.
The fucking low sense is so dominant in shooters, in my opinion.
It is, especially
I
like
feel so much more consistent than on high sense.
It's all I know. I would be lost. I would be a lost puppy. There'd be posters on every street corner if I had to play on a high sense. I would just be homeless. I can't do it because my wrist. I can't fine adjust with my wrist at all, so I have to play on such a low sense that my fine adjustments come from like an entire movement of my arm, basically. Now that was a tangent. That wasn't on the notes, but it is what it is.
It was needed.
Yeah.
I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Of course, yeah. So now you know that I'm handicapped in my wrist and fingers on opposite hands. So is that all you have for agent keybinds?
Yeah, just fucking change it, Riot Games.
Yeah, for sure. Change it, fix it, do better. Moving on from the main topic, I had an interesting, well, not really interesting question. I had one of those noob questions that I like to ask Sigg. So I asked him a couple days ago. He was using the Guardian. I was using a Vandal. He was ADSing for damn near every shot with the Guardian and just one tapping kids in the head. It was hilarious. And then I started trying to do that with the Vandal, and it was working pretty well for me. Mostly in like long range fights, obviously. Now, I think the big thing that helps me in those long range fights is when I ADS, I find it easier to stop my movement while ADS because your crosshair, when you're ADS'd and you're moving, your crosshair moves a little bit. And if you're un-ADS'd and moving, your crosshair stays still.
Yeah.
So if I'm ADS'd and my crosshair is moving, it's very intuitive to me that, hey, I'm not going to be accurate. So I just stop and then I line up the shot and tap him in the head. But if I'm not or if I am moving un-ADS'd and my crosshair's on the head and then I click, but I'm still moving because I'm dumb and I'm too old to fucking do shooter mechanics properly, then I miss my shot because I'm not accurate yet. Even though my crosshair's on their head, my bullet is not going to hit their head. So this was a thing that I was kind of asked Sigg. I was like, when is it actually advantageous or not disadvantageous for me to ADS? Because it seems like the more I ADS, the better off I am personally, just because of my own shortcomings with the mechanics of this game. But I know that with a lot of the guns, I would say with the exception of the Bulldog and the Guardian, a lot of the and I guess the Odin and the Ares probably too, a lot of the guns are better off un-ADS than ADS because of the nerf to the fire rate and shit that they get when you do ADS.
Yeah. The Stinger also goes to a 4-round burst ADS. I don't think there's. I'm pretty sure a lot of people aren't familiar with that game mechanic.
I don't think I've ever ADS'd a Stinger.
Really, it goes to like a 4-round burst, but the recoil on it is still like fucking. It's like Buck ACOG way back in the day. If you don't move your mouse, that's what the Stinger ADS is like.
Just climbs up the fucking wall like a like an SMG-11.
Yeah, climbs. Yeah. I usually am always ADS'd with a Guardian unless somebody's like in my fucking like in the room that I'm sitting in and like within 15 to 20 feet of me. Just because I feel like with the Guardian, I don't usually try and get the 3 body shots. I just feel like I can more consistently just get the 1 tap in the head if I just like ADS. I'm pretty sure the Guardian has a 1.5 times zoom. I could be wrong with these numbers, and I think the Vandal has a 1.25.
That sounds right. It sounds about like what I'm looking at when I ADS with those guns. Doesn't matter.
No, the numbers don't matter. But the Guardian I feel a lot better zoomed in with it just because their head is a little bigger than not ADS'd. And since you're just completely headhunting with that gun, and I do the same things with Vandal. If I'm like, say we're on bind and I'm like A-heaven holding short, I'll usually ADS and just headhunt there rather than fucking try and spray anybody down from that range. I think it's just more viable. You can usually just like pop like 2 shots, and if you hit a headshot, great. If you don't, then you're just gone. I wouldn't recommend ADSing with SMGs
or a Phantom. Or a
hardly
Phantom.
Ever.
Yeah, I never ADS with the Phantom because it's horrendous.
There's not really a point because you have to headshot somebody and body them to kill them from any range.
Yeah.
So I don't really see the point.
Not any range, but if you're if you're close enough to them to headshot, if you're close enough to get the 1-shot headshot with a Phantom, you don't ADS. Yeah, just don't.
No.
There's no.
Don't ADS spray any gun in this game.
Yeah,
use it for tap fire.
Yes, I can definitely agree there. And I think that's another thing that helps me out is because when I'm ADS'd, I know not to spray. When I'm un-ADS'd, I'm just kind of like and I panic and I spray.
It makes the recoil fucking
terrible.
Weird. It's
terrible.
Just I don't know if it's the same recoil that it usually is. I don't think it is.
It's not.
But the fire rate slows for people who don't know. Your fire rate goes down seemingly a lot. I don't know the actual numbers of it.
It's probably like a 20% decrease.
Like it does. It seems like 20 to 25, the Vandals. I don't know the numbers behind that though, but it just seems fucking griefed now.
Yeah, it is. It's definitely griefed. Yeah, I echo the sentiment of definitely don't ever ADS with a Phantom unless you know they're 1 hit and you just need to land 1 bullet from like a dick year away. Then I could see maybe you could justify that. Probably not.
Maybe.
Probably not still.
I wouldn't even go for it.
Probably not. The Bulldog.
The Bulldog.
I wouldn't ever take a fight un-ADS'd unless they live. If they're sitting at your kitchen counter and you're having coffee with them, then you can un-ADS with the Bulldog. Other than that, I don't.
Yeah, I don't un-ADS with the Bulldog unless I'm getting my shit pushed in by multiple people, like that are sprinting in the same room that I'm standing in, like I said earlier.
And I feel the same about the Ares and the Odin too.
Yeah.
Where you just crouch ADS and you just you start sending bullets down range, man.
It's honestly fucking tough to peek into a guy who's like crouched with an LMG because you get aim punched. If
So
they hit
hard.
their first bullet,
So
you're not
hard.
fucking hitting them because you get aim punched off. You're just like, you're missing them by 5 feet.
Yeah.
The aim punch in this game's cracked when you get hit in the head.
Yeah, it's nuts. This game punishes you so hard for getting shot.
It does.
It's like for a shooter, you
I
get
love it,
punished
though.
really
I love
hard.
shit
I
like
don't
that.
hate it. It doesn't feel as oppressive as it actually is for some reason. Cuz like you can't move and you can't aim if you're getting shot. Cuz the aim punch is crazy and you're stuck to
And
the
then it
floor.
slows you down.
Yeah, they spray Gorilla
You
Glue
die
on your
so
shoes.
fast that half the times you don't even fucking notice
Yeah,
any of that shit.
every time
'cause
I
half
die, I
the
get
time
one
you're
tap to the
2 taps
vandal.
in the head.
Yeah.
1 or 2 taps in the head.
Yeah, the only time you notice is if you're like just about to round a corner and they shoot you in like the chest and you can't get around the corner, so you die. That's when it really fucks you. But you could make the argument that like, hey, don't run around the corner, just kill them, right? So
Yeah, I like games that punish you for fucking making just even the slightest mistake that you're just fucking dead for it instantly. That's why I've never really been a big fan of COD because you can just do whatever in that game,
yeah,
especially the BR Warzone. Like you get like fucking 3 to 5 lives some games. Just doesn't make any sense for a BR to me. I don't know. I like if I fuck up, if I like over peak you, I want to be dead instantly because that's how like high skill caps are made and how you fucking learn. I don't know. That's just me though.
I can definitely agree with that. I think my least favorite mechanic of that Call of Duty BR is how easy it is to be bought back and respawned. Because
Yeah.
not only do you not get punished for making a mistake, but it makes people play like brain dead fucks because they can just get back in the game. There's just no,
Because it doesn't matter.
yeah, there's no incentive not to make a stupid play. So you find yourself getting pushed by people who have no business pushing you. And even if you win the fight, then you're fucked. You have no more armor or whatever because this guy did a dumb shit play and he's going to get bought back by his rat Timmy teammate on top of a fucking 307 story building, you know, who's been sitting there with a sniper for 25 minutes. It incentivizes shit gameplay. And it's griefed. But anyways, this is not a Call of Duty podcast, so I will digress. Now, this next point makes me laugh. I gotta tell you.
No.
Yeah.
No.
All right. Go ahead.
Not.
Go ahead and get into it.
Well, on the topic of game mechanics in this game, I personally just learned this past Friday night. I think it was. Like you gotta shut up.
I'm muting.
Stop. All right. So I'm just gonna say, did you know there's a circle around your agent icon? I can see this motherfucker laughing in his webcam right now. There's a circle around your agent icon on the minimap when you are running, either with a gun in your hands or a knife, like audibly running, not slow walking. That shows the range that you are safe to the bomb explosion and the distance at which your footsteps will be heard.
Okay, so
that kind of blew my fucking mind because I've been playing this game for like 10 months now, probably since the beta came out. I don't actually know when that was. It seems like about year.
Yeah, it came out. The beta came out and it was either the end of March or sometime in early April.
It feels like April, so that'd be about a damn year then.
Yeah, I think it's a little over a year old. Now, I will say, I didn't know that it shows the radius you're safe from the bomb. That I did not know. But I've known about the audio thing since beta.
Apparently a lot of people have.
I think the reason that I knew that is because I was so shit at this game when I first started playing that I looked up guides on like what do I need to do to get better at Valorant.
How else would you learn about it if you didn't know?
Yeah, it doesn't tell you about it in the tutorial. No. So I think that's the only reason I knew about it. So maybe it's unfair of me to laugh at you because you're not the type of player to go type into a fucking YouTube search Valorant tips and tricks, right? That's never gonna happen from Sigg
on my own.
Yeah. Now I am the exact type of person to do that because I need all the help I can get. So that's probably where I learned it. So it is unfair of me to laugh at you, although I still will. Yeah, it's a really helpful.
You knew about this, man.
Yeah, I do. That's why whenever I'm on a flank and you guys are like, be quiet, I take like 6 more steps and then I stop walking because I'm looking at my mini map, and I stop walking right before I hit where I expect them to be holding flank from on that mini map where my
Yeah, I
sound
was doing
radius
that
is.
yesterday.
It's really
Now that I
strong.
know about it, it is.
It's really strong. I feel like everyone knows about this.
Because before it was just guesswork. I don't know. Toggles didn't know about this. I talked to
But you
some
and
people
Toggles
that
are
I used
built
to play with
different.
that didn't know about this.
Toggles needs to read a fucking book, right?
Yeah, apparently I need to read some books also.
Yeah, I'm trolling, of course. Yeah, no, there's probably a lot of players out there who don't know that, but shitters like me who watch pro guides on Valorant, we know the rats. We know. That's why you get fucking flanked, because the rats are on it.
I mean, I've seen people in my fucking like high plat diamond lobbies that are still guessing at where they're safe from the bomb. Like complete guesswork, and the same thing when flanking on when they're being heard.
Yeah, like I said, I didn't know about the bomb thing. That's interesting. That is
It's
interesting.
the same range, surprisingly enough.
I believe it.
That's weird.
Yeah, I believe it. It almost feels like it's a different size on different maps, doesn't it? Like, doesn't the bomb explosion feel bigger on, like, we'll say it feels bigger on like Split than it does on Haven, right?
Maybe, but Split Haven's just a lot bigger.
It is, and there's 3 bomb sites.
Icebox that it feels like it doesn't even get out of the fucking bomb site because the site A
is
and
so
B
massive,
are so fucking big. Yeah.
Each one of those bomb sites is an entire fucking map. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure there's people who don't know that though, so that's useful bit of information to
hopefully
to say.
Now, I apologize.
This is the point in the program, the broadcast, right, where we would normally go into listener questions. Now, you might be thinking, cool, time for listener questions, right? Wrong. Because you guys are fucking rats, right?
Absolute rats.
And you didn't ask us any listener questions. So get shit on. No listener questions.
More importantly, get in the fucking Discord.
Yeah, I'll say this.
To ask listener questions.
Join the fucking Discord. The link is going to be in the description below, as it always is. I take 35 seconds out of my busy day and type out a half-assed description every day, and I Control-C, Control-V.
Drop the Discord.
That fucking link into the description every time. And if you rats, you absolute fucking goblins, don't join the Discord and ask me a question by Thursday when we record the next episode, we're not going live. We're going live. The program will of course be canceled.
We're going live.
And you will never hear from me or Sigg again. I will redact. I'll fly to Arizona. I will fly to Arizona and get on a bus and take a bus all the way to Indiana, and I will kick Sigg's door in and I will smash his computer. I'll throw his graphics card in the sewer, and you'll never hear from us again. So join the fucking Discord. That is all to say. Join the fucking Discord. It's a good time in there. We have fun. Roast us. Roast me for my bad gameplay. Praise Sigg for his good gameplay. Post your own gameplay clips. You can ask questions if it's not the dumbest fucking thing.
Posting their own gameplay clips in there recently.
Yeah, and they're fun to watch. They're fun. We get a little back and forth. People hit crazy shots in this game, and it's always fun to look at. So shout out to anyone who has joined the Discord. We appreciate you. And if you haven't and you've been listening to these, you're a fucking rat. Join the Discord. Moving on. Dumb strat of the week.
Dumb strat of the week.
Dumb strat of the week.
This one is from Emmanuel himself, our man,
who is of course in the Discord and not a rat.
He is in the Discord posting dumb strats of the week for the boys. Well, he posted this as a podcast question, but it wasn't a question. It's a Yoru, so it goes in dumb strat of the week. Yeah. Yep. It is of course Yoru. Now, what does Emmanuel like to do with Yoru? He likes to ult into the defender or attacker spawn, doesn't matter which side of the ball he's playing, with an Odin in his hands, even though it is the loudest game mechanic in the game, I think. It's so loud if you fucking put it on the charts. Yeah. I'm appalled every time he gets a kill doing this off somebody not hearing him. I'm like, what were you doing? AFK? Do you not know? Do you not care that he's in your spawn? But yeah, the gist of it is to just take Yoru and Dimensional Drift. Is that what his ult is called? Rift. Close enough. Some shit. Rift. I thought it was Drift and I called it. Never mind. Don't care. Don't care. Well,
He's
you
a
take
dog
an
shit.
Odin, apparently. Apparently, you have to do this with an Odin.
It needs to
I
be
don't
done with
know
an
why.
Odin. You have to request an Odin from your jet so she can't use an op, right?
Yes.
And then you take that Odin into their spawn and you die with it 90% of the time. That's how the strat works.
If you get a pick, congrats, man. I don't know.
So what he does is he'll take a educated guess. So say they've been pushing a 4 out of 5 rounds on their attack, and he gets his
Right.
ult. He will ult up B long directly into their spawn. Once he gets into their spawn, as far as he can from where he thinks they can hear him from, even though you can hear that thing across the map, of course, he will get out of his rift, he'll pull up his Odin, and then he'll start ADS walking towards where he thinks they are. Oftentimes, he will come up on like 2 or 3 enemies who just aren't even looking in his direction, and he'll just mow them fucking down with the chainsaw that is the Odin. And it's pretty fucking funny. Now, that happens about 50% of the time, I would say on average. The other half of the time, he guesses wrong. He guesses wrong.
Either that or there's just a lurker somewhere
Yeah.
that hears this shit.
Yep, follows
My
him.
man's dead.
Yeah, follows him in his alt form, waits for him to get trapped. Because Emmanuel doesn't ever give himself the get out of jail free card of placing his E in a bomb site where he would be safe to return to. Yeah, he's full committed. Doesn't give a fuck. This man has balls of steel. He plays on a laptop with a frozen bag of peas underneath it to keep it cold enough that he gets 35 frames in game. He's an animal. Absolute legend. Never forget. And then they kill him half the time. It's either way, it's fucking funny as shit. It's the funniest thing he's an animal. All 4 legs, just an animal.
Yeah.
All right, so because there was no listener questions, because you guys are fucking rats, right? This episode's a little shorter than normal, but I'm gonna leave it that way as a punishment, because fuck you guys join the Discord to ask me questions.
Damn.
You want to read the outro, man? You want me to read the outro? You want to read the outro?
I don't care. I was gonna ask how many minutes are we at, because I haven't.
We're at 51 and 30 seconds.
Oh, that's not that much shorter.
Close
By
enough.
the time the outro's done, it'll be 55. It's free though.
Yeah, we'll keep that in mind. I'll read it, man. All right. So that's going to do it for the program today. Of course, as always, remember, you can find Sigg over at twitch.tv/justsig. That's JUSTSIGG with 2 G's, of course. And you can find me sometimes, if I ever decide to stream again, at twitch.tv/itsboopsy. That's ITSBOOPSY. If you're looking for more content, go ahead and jump in there. And if you haven't yet, I'm going to say it one more time. Join the fucking Discord.
Join the fucking Discord, man.
You can find people to play with. You can ask us podcast questions as well as give feedback, whatever feedback you may have for us or for, other players in the Discord. The link will be in the podcast description as always, along with the 2 Twitch links. Thank you so much for your time. I appreciate you guys listening to this episode of the broadcast. We hope you enjoyed it. Like I said, next episode for Thursday, there's going to be a new act out, which is going to be massive. We're probably going to go a tad fucking long. So
I hope so.
Go ahead and join us live, right? We'll be going live, I would say probably around 3 p.m., maybe 3:30 p.m. on Thursday, and we're probably going to run a little long. I would expect this to be possibly even a 2-hour broadcast.
3 p.m. East, by the way.
3 p.m. Eastern, which is the correct time zone. If you live in another time zone, just change your clock to Eastern because you're just living a lie. Anyways, we will see you guys Thursday. I hope you enjoy the episode. Thanks for tuning in. Again, of course, tell your friends about the podcast if you enjoy it. If not, fuck off, rat. GG's.
GG's.